So we are joined again by Chiara Stark, the up-and-coming, very talented writer that you've heard the story from last week. And now we're going to ask you a bunch of questions. Chiara, are you ready to give us some answers?
Throw them at me.
That doesn't count as one of the questions, by the way. That's just
Yeah, that's a
Oh,
question.
okay.
Don't worry. So Chiara, who inspired you to start telling your own stories?
I think I like seeing people around me who kind of show you that some sort of form of success or some form of I don't know, being able to do some form of skill is possible within your close circle, if that makes sense. So somebody who kind of feels within reach. And so when I was much younger, I really wanted to be a movie director, actually. I was like 5 at this point, maybe 7. I don't know, can't guess. Something around below 10. And I have a cousin who I actually do not know that well because he's more kind of extended family. But I have a German cousin who's a movie director who, like, I don't know, he was always kind of a big deal in the family. And I Googled him the other day and I was like, oh my goodness, he has an IMDb page. Like, he's done so many things. He's like a sci-fi thriller director, and he's just so like, and you can tell he loves his craft. And I think having someone like that in your family is really motivating. I remember when I was younger, I used to take DVDs, take out the covers, and then put my own in. And kind of draw on paper, and I would make like the movies didn't have like plot or anything, but I just love like sticking my name on something, and I would be like, yes, I've written and directed and acted, and I was the horse in this movie too. I've done all of it. I just love the idea of being creative in that way, and I think oddly enough, my kind of distant cousin who is much older than me, actually, I should have mentioned. I don't know how old, but much older. Who's found success in a creative field, and who's not like looked down upon for that. Like, he's not just the weird artist cousin. Like, he's actually like a somewhat of a big deal. That was very, very motivating, I think, to see as a kid.
Very positive as well to have somebody achieve success in that field. Makes it feel like it's possible, isn't it?
Exactly,
like,
exactly.
If he can do that, I can do that too. Like,
yeah.
And I know we've had people on before that, especially if they're from like maybe like a working class background or something like that, and they're just like it's almost like sometimes people are like looking for permission to do the creativity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you've just got to work to do it, then yeah, it's hard to set that aside a little bit and put your energy towards being creative. But it's so rewarding, and more people should do it, and we need to hear more of those voices. So it's yeah, it's wonderful. What's their name? Sorry, your
Yes,
cousin.
I was gonna say and if pronounced in English, it'd be Sebastian Hilger. I think that's spelt quite straightforward, so just Sebastian and then Hilger, Hilger. Yeah.
Exciting. Yeah, I'll be sure to look him up afterwards. But that's really cool. I don't think we've ever had someone say a cousin before, or like a family member that isn't a parent before, or a grandparent. That's.
Do you think you'll ever foray back into the world of film, maybe screenwriting, or actually, putting on your hooves and playing the horse?
One day, Nico, I'm gonna do it. We'll be the horse. I think of art as a very kind of big, expansive thing, and I don't like to limit myself to one branch of it, to one genre of it, to one form. So I love drawing. I've always loved drawing, and I love storytelling. I love reading the stories, listening to them, and writing them too. But to me, it's like if I get the chance to do anything in any creative field, really, I can't sing. I will not sing. Is the only thing. But like anything else, I feel like I can learn. I can pick up the skill, and anything creative. I would honestly, again, it's just about kind of what comes around. If that makes sense. I feel like if I have a particular like screenplay idea, then I'd love to try that. But I also just do not know that much about the field, so I'd have to learn, but I'm very open to learning.
Great well, I mean, yeah, great outlook, and obviously, I think you might be potentially the youngest guest we've had.
Yeah, I thought you'd say that.
Um,
Wait. Do you know how old I am? Or do you want to guess?
I'm assuming you're an undergrad, so you'd be under 21.
I am 21.
21,
Exactly.
right? But that, and no way is that a bad thing, because it's really clear that you have talent. You can write, you talk at length about these things, and it's fantastic to see. And my point here is just that it's really exciting to meet you at this point in your career as you're coming up, because it feels like you could do anything that you want to do next, and that's really exciting. So I hope all the best for you. I think it's going to be wonderful.
Thank you. I think also just on the sense of like possibility, because I do get caught up in my age actually a lot of the time lately. I've been very fixated on the number 26 for some reason. Some of my favorite writers wrote their debut novel when they were 26 or published it when they were 26, and so I was like, okay, by 26, so I need a 5-year plan. By that point, like, I will need to be at that point, whereas obviously like it just doesn't work that way. You can't plan that way. You can't plan creativity that way either. I think the ideas come and you follow them and you pursue them if if you want to. But it's I don't know. For me, actually, the idea that I'm young can be very paralyzing sometimes. I think anything kind of the vast possibility of anything can be very paralyzing, because either if you feel very motivated to do anything, or you're like, oh, I could do absolutely anything, and then you're just kind of stuck and you don't know what to do with that.
Well, we're back to talking about the cat in the box, and
yeah.
It's better to just take a swing at stuff. It is my personal feeling. Just take some swings.
Yes, yeah, I do agree.
I think novel by 26 is a far better goal than a lot of singers. We have the 27 Club, which is dead by 27.
Yeah.
That's I don't know if that should be a goal.
No, I think at 28 I thought, well, I'm never going to really make it, so I'll just sort of chill out of it now.
I remember you at 26. You were really going for it as well. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes, I was.
Wait, that's so sweet. So how long have you guys known each other?
Since we were 19, I think.
Yeah.
Oh my! And can I ask how old you are now?
Nico's a little bit older than me, but I'm 33.
I'm 35.
Oh, you guys love each other then. Oh my goodness.
We did. So it's a romance for the ages.
Oh.
Yeah.
Take that B off, baby. This is a romance.
You want me to read?
Chiara.
Yes.
Do you feel like you're connected to any particular culture or subculture? And if you do, has it affected your writing in any way?
I think I like to think of myself as actually part of a hybrid culture, in the sense of some people grow up with a mixed background of sorts, with a bilingual household, that kind of thing. And I feel like that experience is actually quite, obviously very formative and quite universal within that group of people who grow up like that. So I'd like to say I'm tied culturally to to like my Italian and German heritage, but it's also like it's actually it's more that feeling of always being like half, of always being somewhat foreign wherever I go. Like even when I moved to the UK when I was 12, so hence I sound fine. Not fine. I just mean like hence I don't have a strong accent. I'd like to think, but
you don't have a strong accent.
Okay, thank you. So honestly, it depends on the person I'm talking to. Sometimes they go like, "Oh, I knew from the first word you said that you were foreign in some way," and sometimes they really can't tell. But I think even before I moved here, like in Germany, I was the Italian one, and in Italy, I'm the German one. And now that I live here, I'm never really from the place where I'm at, and I move around a lot too. So I mean, I don't necessarily think that's a culture, but it's that feeling of always being like on the edge of a culture, I guess.
Yeah. Do you think the narrowboat plays into that a bit as well? You're sort of creating your own citizenship of Boatopia.
I'd like to think so. Well, the mobility of it was really important to me, and was a huge driving factor for me to kind of get into this lifestyle, let's call it. I'm just not a person who stays in the same place for very long. I can't imagine that. I met a woman the other day who talked to me about how she's taken the same bus route for 20 years, not 20 years, 10 years to her job, which is perfectly acceptable if obviously, you enjoy the job and it pays the bills and everything. But to me, the idea of staying in one place for 10 years, I just could not do that. And I've been lucky enough that I've been kind of propelled in certain directions. And with the boat, it's now really like the most mobile I've ever been, because I can take my entire home and just kind of move it down somewhere else.
Yeah, it's quite nomadic in a way, isn't it? It's interesting. So how did that gel with your studies and stuff? Like, it sounds like you took a real leap coming over from Germany to go to Oxford, and then how long have you been in the narrowboat? Were you going to like lectures from your boat and things like that?
As cool as that sounds, no. So I've had the narrowboat for a year,
Yeah.
but I've been out of uni for a year. So I took a year out, kind of out of burnout reasons.
Yeah.
I came to a point where I was like, I finished my second year of my undergrad, and I was like, I don't, no, thank you. I would like to do my third year, but I can tell I can't do it now. So I've taken a year out, and in that year also kind of learned more about the narrowboat. But yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, no, it did. Yeah, no, I think that's a really smart and brave thing to do. I've known a lot of people that go through the Oxbridge system, and I feel like it just is designed to chew people up, and
Yeah.
it's very, very negative. Like in Cambridge, which is where I've lived for a long time, and I've known a lot of people that go to Cambridge, and my partner was at Cambridge and this kind of thing. But the suicide rate is ridiculously high for fucking going to school. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's just not cool, in my opinion.
Yeah,
So
no, I completely agree.
intermitting,
Also,
taking that year out is just the right move, especially if you've got other things going on. Like, you can always go back to it. It's no biggie.
Knowing yourself
yeah,
that way is fantastic.
Yeah.
I think when you're young, you also end up thinking like, oh, I'll finish my degree in 4 years instead of 3, and you think it's a big deal. But like,
No.
I would like to think it's not. And I feel I'm at the end of my year off now, really, and I don't want it to come to an end. It's been so fulfilling, but also because I know it's been so fulfilling that I'm taking obviously all of that growth and the mindset and everything I've learned. Like, I'm taking that kind of into the next life, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's a really cool outlook. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that one a lot.
Thanks.
So when you're reading,
Mhm.
what kind of themes do you find particularly appealing? Like, what can't you put down if it turns up in a book?
I'm a big fan of time. We talked about it as well with the stories, but anything that plays with time is like an immediate hook for me. And then if you do it in very creative ways, that really like it. I'm like, I need to tell everyone. I need to shout from the rooftops how kind of they've made me think about this timeless concept in a new original way, which I think is so difficult to do. I love anything that because I find I find the years passing by and ages and the past and the future, I find all of it very daunting. And I don't know, especially in a novel that it kind of encapsulates this particular experience and moment in time, and as you're kind of following these characters, if you can do it in a really creative way, I'll be impressed.
I like that. I think that leads pretty much perfectly into Nico's favorite question.
It
Okay.
really does. Now, say hypothetically, Chiara, that there were
Mhm.
2 writer podcasters and they were being held hostage by
Ah.
a powerful and capricious bibliomancer who would probably be upset because I mentioned a different type of wizard last episode. Now this bibliomancer, he draws his energy from people's love of books.
Mhm.
And so he sends them out to find more fantastic books for his library. So what novel is the closest to your heart to buy us a bit of time?
you
Hypothetically.
you sounded like you were savoring every word of that question. Sounded like you were really
Me?
enjoying it. Yes.
What? I would never.
Um, well, it's also the premise of the podcast, isn't it, to fill that bookcase.
Yeah, we are slaves. You are speaking to indentured laborers. This is
We can't
we have
move
to do
because the
this.
mics will hear the chains.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say to that. That's quite serious. If if you need help,
You could say the
contact
name
me.
of a book so we don't get beaten.
Okay, 1 second. The stakes are so high. Okay, you're not gonna like my answer because I don't just have one answer. Because you ask any writer that or reader their favorite book, and they can't just. I don't think they can just give you one. I've got 3. but I'll get through them quickly. So, in terms of
no rush. That buys us 3 days. That's 3 days of normal life.
Oh yes, okay, great. I just thought I need to rattle everything off, and it's life or death, you know. But in terms of novel, because I also have some other answers that are just books, not just novels. But Zami, A New Spelling of My Name by Audre Lorde, I love. I read it for uni actually, and I feel like for a kind of syllabus text to be transformative is like a lot to expect from it. But I don't know. But I feel like I read it at the exact kind of right point in my life, and it was one of those books that was like, I want to write like this. I want to be this kind of person. I want to have this kind of perspective almost. And also it came at a time where I was, because Audre Lorde is a famous Black lesbian feminist, and dead by now, but love her. And specifically Zami, I think also came at a time where I was like, I don't know what's struggling, but like not at all comfortable with the idea of liking girls either, and that queer identity. And so I think, I don't know, I was like, this is beautiful. This is just gorgeous. And so it's got a really, really special place in my heart. I've actually lost my copy of Zami, unfortunately, but you know, that's okay. It happens. Then 2 is a novella by Hermann Hesse, who's a German writer. It's called Siddhartha, and that's just a novella I feel like everyone should read. I feel like it's so like enlightening. It's like spiritual, but it's to me, it's not necessarily you have to have one kind of particular religion or spirituality. It's just this like experience of like divinity and humanity, and it's this beautiful journey. Again, I think everyone should read it. I would shout it from the rooftops. I have made people read it as well, because I'm just like, guys, it's so short. You can read it in an afternoon, please. So that's one, and then last one, probably my favorite one. Now that I'm thinking about it, if I did actually just have to give one answer, it would be Paradise Lost by John Milton, because
that's a big fucking text to drop as your third one. Holy shit!
It's it found me when I was like 17. I'm in love with it. I speak about it all the time. I'm doing my dissertation on it. I did my EPQ on it. I bring it with me when I travel, which is like, I'm not reading it every time I travel, but it's just like, not to be fair, I haven't brought it with me every time, but there's been so many times where it's just in my suitcase, because I just need I need Milton to kind of accompany me on life's journeys.
I've met Milton scholars, and then they don't speak as passionately about it as you've just spoken.
Oh,
so that's impressive.
He's my husband. He's truly, and I said that actually in a tutorial, and my tutor was like, "Really, him?" And I was like, "I know he wouldn't like me. I know, I get it. Don't worry about it. The spiritual connection that I have with this dead Renaissance poet, just to me, like, makes life what it is." I just,
you could have had Rossetti. Like, what are you doing? Like.
No.
I get it. What an incredible pick. What an incredible pick. Paradise.
Thank you.
Lost. Jesus Christ. Amazing. Right, I'm going to jump straight into the next question, because it's perfectly timed again, which is, what role does religion have in storytelling for you?
I knew that you were going to ask that question.
Yeah.
Perfect. This conversation's flowing perfectly.
All according to plan.
Right, according to the script, guys. Yeah. There you go. What was the question? Wait, sorry. Sorry.
Line.
It was religion. Got it.
Line.
Religion. Line. Yes. So, oh gosh. Oh man. Okay. Right. I think.
Okay. You're okay.
Just a little bit.
With Paradise Lost her.
Paradise Lost.
Lost her.
Fuck off.
That's
ridiculous.
That's a terrible pun. I hate that. I do not like that at all.
You could never hate me as much as I hate myself.
Stunning.
No, I kid. Don't worry. No, yes, religion. Oh my goodness, I can answer a question. I think I like the idea of accessing something transcendental. I like the idea of using kind of using our medium, using words to retrieve something invisible and abstract. And I'm coming at it from this lens because I feel like spirituality I always love. I actually have a lot of like, I don't know how to say this. Like, I've educated myself a lot in religion and philosophy, so I also I do really enjoy that perspective too. But I don't know. I love anything that deals with kind of grand cosmic concepts, and I feel like a lot of the time that is kind of what we're trying to get at. And it doesn't have to be divinity either. It can be humanity as well. But I don't know. I love writers who play with that. I especially love using empathy when you're talking about divinity. And in terms of, I think writing is an empathetic medium because you kind of it's not necessarily always your voice that you're speaking with, right? A lot of the time, it is a character, and you're putting yourself literally in the shoes of a completely, like, it doesn't have to be a completely different lens, but a particular perspective, let's say, like that. And I think some really interesting parts of I think actually I feel like most Milton scholars would agree with me if they're listening. But in terms of Milton being empathetic like that and putting himself in the shoes of God, Adam, Satan, like these are huge characters that he makes so human. And I love finding the humanity in divinity in literature because I think it has a really, like, it does it in this really unique way because it's such an empathetic medium.
And in your... sorry, go on, Nico. I've stepped on you there. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, previously you said about how you had a fascination with time as a concept in writing. How does that vibe with these concepts that are essentially eternal? Like, where does that play into that sense?
Well, perfectly, almost, because time to me is also this like concept I'm always grappling with. I have to be honest, I hate time. Gets on my nerves. I do not like it. Not a big fan. But I say that about, again, this timeless concept. And I think, I don't know. I that's also why I think I love literature that makes me think about time differently, because I've only got my perspective, and I've got my perspective that's always very frustrated with time, always running out of time. But I think that the same could apply to a lot of these large grand concepts. Is I love someone that makes me view God in a fresh light, which is such an amazing thing to do with words.
I think it's fascinating. I mean, so I'm very interested because obviously you've mentioned sort of queer identity as well, and how that gels with concepts of religion around God and things like that, because it's typically not been very kind to that kind of identity or a viewpoint. And it's fascinating that you're emerging as a writer, and you're holding these two things in your hand, this this religious motifs and queer identity. And am I right in saying that you do have like a personal belief in God as well?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So it's quite interesting to me, because I personally have zero belief in this, but I find is there any cognitive dissonance, I guess, is my question for you. Like, how do you reconcile those two things?
Yeah, I completely get the question. I think it's been a journey, Ben, in terms of kind of existing as a paradox, basically, because I think I grew up, and I don't think any religion was imposed on me. I do have to say that, and I'm very grateful for that. But I think I love structure, and I think I just have very like spiritual tendencies. Like, again, I love searching for something, and I don't necessarily love finding answers, but I love asking questions. And so I also love like ancient literature. So I have a kind of, let's say, natural proclivity towards like spirituality and religion. And I think that came alongside me realizing that, like, okay, but I like, people that maybe I'm not supposed to like. And that was again, a journey, because just a lot of internalized homophobia for a while there. And I think I got to a point where I was like, I just exist like this. I can't change anything about either of those things. So actually very fundamental to my identity, like believing in a God and kind of also in particular seeing God in the world around me. Like I can't get rid of that. It's in my blood. I can't do anything about that. And also don't want to. And the same applies to my queer identity. It's just it. I can't do any. I shouldn't want to do anything about it, and I don't want to do anything about it. And it took some time to get to a point where I was like, for other people, this is a paradox, but that means for other people, I am a paradox. And so if these things can't coexist together in the real world, it just means I can't exist. And so I was like, well, I would like to exist. I'd like to think. And so I don't know. I've come to a point where I'm very much like, at least in my perspective, the two things are just not at all contradictory, because I also feel like one whole human being. I don't feel like I'm constantly being kind of pulled in different directions. I mean, maybe in some ways, but not in this way. Like I'm not.
Yeah, no, I get
You
it.
know.
I mean, that's I think that's a wonderful answer. Like a really like well thought through and interesting perspective. And yeah,
Thank
I wish you all the luck with it as well, because I think
you.
it's a really obviously it's probably not a unique
Oh.
point of view. But I can see why it would be difficult from both sides. Like myself, being very like pro like liberal things and like but I actually do seriously hate organized religion. I think it's evil. So it's very difficult for me as somebody that would theoretically normally be like, go for it, to be like, but what, the religion stuff, really? But when you express it like that, it becomes really clear. People are just people, and you've got your path to walk. And I think that's really exciting.
And I think I've and I really appreciate that perspective. And I think I've come also across a lot of people who are like just kind of choose one of the two because you can't really do both. And I also understand where they're coming from, because all of it is identity politics. All of these things are very kind of personal and important to the person, whether it be queerness or whether it be religion. And so I understand somebody being like, well, I just don't think, my existence doesn't have to align with your view, and I'm perfectly at peace with that. But actually, in terms of also influential writers who've let's say helped me along my journey, Jeanette Winterson, love her, adore her. Also another person who, she's from Manchester, went to Oxford. Like it feels more in reach. Like I've actually seen her give a lecture at Oxford. Like she's a real flesh and blood person that has done amazing things, in my view, and has written amazing things. And I follow her on Substack. I adore her. I've written her book. I've read as many books of hers as I can. But her debut novel, Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit, which I think she's most known for, is very, very much like the conflict of religion and queerness. Obviously, she was raised in a I would say demonic household, but ironically, and obviously allowing for her, it was obviously stepping away from religion, but she still understands that tie that you have when you engage with the literature a lot and very kind of personally and emotionally in your formative years. It's not just something you can like leave on the doorstep.
And nor should anyone ever ask anyone to do that.
Yeah,
that was actually, you mentioned texts that are university texts. That was one of my that was a set text for me.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it was really interesting. I did, you do have get to a point where because you've read it fucking 70 times and you've close read it a dozen more.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's like I think if I never see this book again, I'll be okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is actually the first time I've thought of it in like 10 years, and it was really nice for it to be brought up in this context. So thank you.
I hope I didn't give you like flashbacks or whiplash or something. Hope you're okay.
Yeah, I remember badly air-conditioned rooms surrounded by other people in tutorials. Yeah, it was horrible. No, it's okay. We're okay. Nico, have you got any follow-up questions to that? I know you've got interesting insights into.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was raised Catholic, and it was actually my physical health that changed my perspective, because I didn't understand why I would be born chronically ill. I'm sure that there are a great many theologians who could give me worthy and compelling answers, but I think the bit that is interesting to me, and why I would never view as paradoxical, is that one of the two things is a choice, and it's the one that involves going to church on a Sunday.
Yeah.
You don't choose who you fall in love with, but you can choose to love and accept God. That's it. Like it's to me, it's quite clear cut. I understand there are a lot of people who do quite selective reading of religious texts and just pick up the bits that let them be absolute dickheads. But we'll
Yep.
quite quickly skip over the bits that, oh, what's this bit here where Jesus is saying, like, be nice to people? No, fucking not that bit. Don't read that bit.
Well, it's the whole thing pretty much. But yeah, it's, I mean, as somebody who I don't need to defend God. I'm just a girl, but I'm not a big fan of the echo chambers that you get in a lot of religious circles, and a lot of the same verses thrown around. It's like, guys, please, let's read either the whole thing or the whole book, or you're just reading it in translation. Like, it's an ancient text. It's not just like a rule book. It's just I think so much more complex than that. But you do raise a completely valid point in terms of one actually is a choice. I think for me, it's just my outlook on life that feels very like I don't know. I don't feel like it can be changed, but also I don't feel again like I don't want to change it. So I haven't, but no, I do completely get what you mean. Yeah, that's completely fine. It has been, I don't know, the last year has been very interesting actually in terms of because I had some the burnout was physical and mental health things, and I just couldn't go to church for a while because of some reasons, and it's been very, I think, healthy for me to do that, for me to step away and to still read the literature, to still engage with the material, to still listen to all all kinds of perspectives, but to really find my place in terms of what I believe. And I just don't believe these things are a sin, and I also don't give a fuck who you have sex with, and I don't know why anybody else would.
We have a new tagline for the podcast, Ben.
There you go. Yeah, no, it's been very, very interesting. Let's say it like that.
I think this has been a fascinating conversation. This is typically in the context of people writing fantasy stories and not necessarily being believers themselves. So thank you for going so deep into it with us, because I appreciate this is obviously you're very comfortable talking about it, but it is quite a deep subject. So really, I've really appreciated your time on that one. But I'm going to move us on. I'm going to start asking you about writing again, which is essentially when you have, because I know you've had a few short stories published. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. When you have written your first draft and you've had the concept, you've broken the story, you've got it out on paper, and it's misspelled, maybe it doesn't work the way you want it to, but it's done. There is a draft. The story exists. What is your editing process from that point? How do you get it to the point where you're happy with it and you can submit it somewhere?
I'd like to say I have an editing process, right? Maybe somewhere down the line. Something that has helped me recently was reading out my stories. I've started doing that and just hearing it said and kind of hearing where the punctuation should fall. That's been helpful. In terms of a very rough first draft, I do try to give it its time, stay away from it a little bit, and then kind of come back to it with a fresh eye, which I think a lot of people do. I do have to say, I'm very perfectionist in terms of how I go about things. So a lot of the time, my first draft will realistically be more like the fifth draft because I'm constantly editing as I go along. I'm trying to work on it and trying to just get it out on paper or on the screen, on the page, because I know that the first draft does not need to be good, and I'm learning that. But for me, a lot of the time, actually, it's more like puzzle pieces. So I have a particular idea, and I'll have like fragments of lines of lines of dialogue, of these things that all kind of seem to match the same sort of theme, the same sort of feeling, and then I'll collate them in a document, try to assemble that from the building blocks into some sort of a structure, some sort of a draft. Sometimes I love when I just get entire paragraphs. So once in a while I'll just like be brushing my teeth, and then I'll be like, yes, and it just keeps going. That happens too. But a lot of the time, it's putting those small things together actually, and trying to unify them in some way. So by the time I've gotten a full draft, a lot of the time it's actually quite close to my final draft. Final draft, and I do a lot more tweaking rather than editing.
Fascinating. Have you tried to write anything longer before?
The looming idea of writing a novel is always at the back of my mind, and I'm always thinking of kind of bigger concepts that I can turn into a novel. But really, if the writing flows, it kind of keeps flowing. But I don't think I feel like they always come to a natural conclusion, and so I don't know how I do it with a longer piece.
Well, I'd be fascinated to read it when you're done.
You've only got 5 years to figure it out,
I've
Chiara, so
only got 5 years. The clock is ticking. We're laughing, but I'm genuinely like, it needs to be done. It needs to be at a certain point. And it needs to be published by 26, which means like it needs to be written by the latest of 25.
I think really you're behind schedule. I think you should already have
Exactly.
yeah.
you'd be working.
Exactly. What am I doing?
I agree. You need to write a book though, because I want to read it. Having
Aw.
having heard your story,
That's so sweet.
more of that. If you could just stretch that out roughly another 120,000 words.
No,
that'd be
right.
perfect.
That's
I think
just, do you know what,
Disney.
Nico, commission just for you. That I'll write the novel just for your
incredible.
sake.
Well, how good are you at writing novels about kaiju and Gundam
And goblins.
and goblins and dwarves?
I recognize two of those words. What are kaiju and Gundam?
So kaiju are massive monsters.
Okay.
If you've seen the film Pacific Rim,
Nope.
Godzilla.
I know of it.
There you go. So I think Godzilla would count as a kaiju, right, Nico?
Okay, like a kraken, like a big like sea monster lizard. I don't know.
Like a kraken.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I guess a kraken would be a kaiju. Yeah, like an oversized monster. And then I'll leave Gundam to you there. I think, Nico. I think you're the
expert.
Gundam are a very specific type of flying Japanese robot, generally with swords, and they're very, very tall.
Okay.
And they're good at fighting kraken and other various kaiju.
But if you can put like Milton-esque dialogue into a Gundam kaiju movie,
some sort of blank verse, maybe. Interestingly, my dissertation I'm planning on writing on the Leviathan in Milton, but also in Moby Dick, and the concept of a sea creature and the roots it has in again ancient literature. So I love monsters, adore it. I also love like robot AI monsters. Love that too, if that's what we're talking about. Again, I do not know what we're talking about.
I think I would accept AI robots versus the Leviathan. Like, I'd be well on board for that.
Okay.
So let's have it. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it.
It'll be with you by next Thursday.
Beautiful. But as a perfectionist who's going to write a novel in a week, how do you know when it is done? You start tweaking. How do you know I've got to cut myself off here, otherwise I'm going to tweak until the end of time?
I don't think this is the right answer. When I stop giving a shit about it, there comes a point where I'm like so in it. Everything I'm like writing and thinking about is like, it has to be related somehow to this. Like I'm really, really in it. And then there comes a point where like most of it's formed, and then I'm almost tempted to leave it. I'm like, who cares? Like this brainchild of mine that I've just slaved over for I don't know how many months. Because sometimes it does take months to write one story. But it there comes a point where I'm almost finished, where I want to leave it, which is how I know I'm close to the end, and I just need to kind of push through. And then there'll be this feeling of like indifference, where I'll be like, yeah, it's fine. It's not life-changing. It's not terrible either. Send it off. I feel like when I've disconnected from the work, a lot of the time it's actually not done yet when I've disconnected, but like that's kind of where I can tell, okay, I'm losing interest because I feel like this is done.
I think that's fair enough. We've spoken a lot before about the concept of reaching the fuck it stage. And that appears to be that seems to be fairly ubiquitous, I think, amongst writers, that everybody can reach that stage, and it typically means that it's done.
What I hate the thing I hate about that is it takes a while, obviously, to get something published, which obviously makes sense. Like magazines to take that time. I don't know what they do, but they do a bunch of things: editing, printing. I don't know. So by the time like a story will be out, like I just do not care about this, and I don't want to share because I'm like, it's fine. But like what I wrote last week is better. So and that obviously I'm in that continuous cycle of like not even cycle, but like that trajectory of like, well, I feel like what I've recently written is always a little bit better, and then that recent writing becomes that old writing that I'm like, all right.
Yeah, I guess,
It's
but
just the
obviously it's
nature
a
of it.
springboard, isn't it? Go on,
Yeah,
Nico. Sorry, I stepped on you there.
I'd say it's just the nature of self-improvement. As someone who's published a great
true.
deal of music, you will at least you don't have to get up and repeatedly read those stories in 1 hour sets for months at a time.
Ooh,
You'll
I would
start to
hate
hate
that.
things that you were so proud of when you created them. But
Oh,
I think it's perfectly natural to just it feels like it's done, and you
mm,
will emotionally disconnect from it long before anyone else gets to see it because you were there at the
mm,
start.
Yeah.
yeah,
It
exactly.
comes back round. One day you'll pick up that copy of the magazine that your dad's kept stashed somewhere, and you'll read it and you'll go, "Oh God, I remember this. This is really fun." So
Oh,
I think you're gonna hit that.
Oh, and then you get that little smug moment where you're like, oh, that was pretty fucking good too.
That's a good
I
line.
yeah, I do love that every once in a while, especially when I've like forgotten it and I get to experience it almost like a fresh read. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, bang a line, fucking hell. Um, I was gonna ask Nico, do you think you have like a particularly interesting perspective maybe on like I don't know like words and storytelling communication because you're both a musician and a writer, and I feel like that's such a really really interesting combination.
You said about struggling to stretch stories out. You write
Yes,
a story,
yeah,
you feel like it's closed.
yeah.
I got very used to telling quite a lot of story in 3.5 minutes, which is
Mm.
when you've got to fit a guitar solo in there as well. It's tricky, and a lot of it is shortcutting and suggesting and calling on things people already know. And then I've
Mm,
spent several years in the podcast, learning how to write those stories. And if you go back right to the beginning, you'll hear that I'm not terrible, but I'm not the writer I am now by any
mm,
means.
mm,
And I think all of it, they're very similar concepts, but extremely different medium. And it means that while there are transferable skills, I mean, I've done it once or twice where I've written a story that completely rhymes because I've written
mm.
loads, so
I've
that's easy.
had one of those on the podcast. I enjoyed the rhyming. It was so fun.
Good. But yeah, I think it's stories to me feel like they're, and people are going to be so mad about this, they feel more discoverable because they're designed to be taken in and
Hmm.
then they're kind of gone into the ether, to me anyway, whereas songs have got to survive being repeatedly listened to,
Ah.
or the intention is to want them to be repeatedly listened to. Because if someone's bought your book, they've already bought it, ha ha ha, got you, dummy. But if someone wants to listen to your song on Spotify or wherever they choose to, Tidal, whatever you're using these days, kids, it's, you want them to hit it again and again. You want the radio to play it again and again. So
Mm,
it feels like a very different sport, I'd say.
interesting. Do you ever feel like there's like when the idea? I'm assuming you have an idea for a song or a story, but is it clear to you immediately which one of the two it is?
I think so. It's the process I've always had with writing songs is hearing the music. It's a bit like Disney's Fantasia, where the pictures just kind of go with the music. It's
Mm,
always been that. It's, what does this make me feel like? What does this make me think about?
mm,
So there's only one song where I said I'd like to write a song about this, which was a song about my mum, and
mm.
ironically that one's the one that stood the test of time. So maybe I should have been thinking about it first and not just write to the tune. But
Oh,
yeah,
art comes from emotion, so like there's
yeah.
no you don't have to pre-plan it.
But no, that's a really interesting question. But no,
I think it's a great question
I feel
and
like
really well answered as well,
I've
Nico.
become interviewed.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
no,
great. I'm
I
got
enjoying
me.
I I was I didn't I tried not to, but I knew that I was going to turn the tables on you at some point because I'm very used to asking people questions and I love hearing about people's perspectives, and so I'm very used to being on the other side of the mic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, what can we ask Ben about? Ben, what's up with you,
Oh,
man?
What the fuck's up with you, man?
Why you look like that? Why you look like that, bro?
I was
yeah.
born too pretty, Nico. That's why.
Oh, must be hard. I
Believe
empathize.
me, it is.
So, Chiara,
Mhm.
we know that your next project is probably completing your Oxford degree, which is a sizable thing. But like, on the horizon, do you have like is there anything you're currently writing that you're trying to get about? Is there anything you've got on submission somewhere, anything like that?
Always a million things. I always have like a million moving pieces that I try not to talk about too much, just in case like they don't follow, like nothing happens with them, But I've got a story submitted for a contest, but it's a much bigger contest than the ones last time. Like I've won a contest before, but like and I'm very, very grateful for that, 100%. Not just one, I was one of the winners, but this one, it has like very big prize money. When money's involved, I'm like, oh goodness, I don't know why anybody would pay for what I write. But not that you shouldn't in the future. Please do, absolutely, please do. But so I've got a story called Crooked. That's kind of been sitting in somebody's inbox, I assume. I keep checking on. It's got a little update. I don't know on Submittable. And I'm waiting for something to change on whether it's being shortlisted, but nothing so far. But that's kind of actually tied into a lot of the things that I think we talked about here in terms of my perfectionism, my relationship to God, which is really complicated, and I feel like I'm always writing about like whatever I'm like dealing with at the moment, or whatever I'm like really, really thinking about. So I've got always the looming novel, but I don't know about that. At some point, whether it be in novel form or in short story, I don't know what form it will be. I would really like to work on a Gilgamesh kind of modern adaptation in some way. I've also had one of your guests talk about it, and I feel like there's actually like, I don't know, I got so excited when they talked about it. I was like, because I've been studying it for Gilgamesh for, I don't know, past few months. Like I'm not too, like I'm just learning. I'm like listening to the lectures, reading the translations, blah, 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 learning about the mythology, but it's so fascinating. And again, so queer, I think, fundamentally. So I would love to either write something along those lines in the far future, or kind of be involved in a project like that. And then I've got a few.
I could dig a queer reading of Gilgamesh. Like he goes out to the woods, finds his like attractive mate out there, and then they grow it up for a bit. They're definitely just friends, right?
Well,
Like naked wrestling.
Oh, the bromance that you and Nico have.
We do less naked wrestling though.
Much like Gilgamesh, it's pretty epic.
I don't like that pun either. I don't like these
puns.
I
know.
I don't like it.
He's not even putting this onto the microphone. He does this all the time. It's beautiful. It's actually a beautiful thing. He's beautiful minding us right now.
Like the Rain Man of puns.
If you can make them, I do actually think it's you need to be quite clever to be funny like that. But
if I ever do funny, I'll let you know.
Did you say if I ever achieve funny?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's something. Well, I laughed at your story. I thought it was funny. Also, I think if you believe you're funny, then that's just fact. Like I tell everyone, like I know I'm funny. I don't care what the delusion will carry you there. It's perfectly fine. In terms of projects, I've got a few short stories that are like in the works right now. I've got one that I'm supposed to be working on, and now I've just suddenly like the last few days I had a very new idea about like maybe someone who has a hysterectomy and like has like their uterus takes their uterus home with them and kind of goes on adventures with their uterus, but like the idea of like body parts taken out of you, and especially feminine body parts being taken out of you, and the body horror of being a woman, that kind of thing. I think is fun. So maybe, but that might also go nowhere. The most exciting thing that I think I'm doing is a friend of mine, a childhood friend from Germany, is at the moment writing a novel, and she's been sending me chapters in German. And I'm not a German writer by no means, but obviously I can perfectly understand the language, and so I've just been giving her like comments, editing kind of. So I'm really excited actually for her to take off way before I ever do.
That's exciting. Well, when Crooked wins that competition that you've entered it in, let us know, and we'll repost it and reshare it as much as we can.
Thank you. I can't promise it will go anywhere.
No.
Also, if it doesn't, if it's not even shortlisted, I'll be dejected for a while. And I'll be like, nobody can see this. My abandoned, aborted, dead brain child. My poor thing. Nobody can see this corpse.
Well, if that happens, I don't think it will happen, but if that does happen, you can send it to us and we'll read it.
Okay.
We've asked you in the last episode, but where can people go to sort of keep up to date with when you do publish things and win competitions and all the other cool things that you do, and cats, of course.
I do many cool things. I see many cool cats. I'm Starry Cats on Instagram. That's all I can offer. I don't have a website, but that's StarryCaz because that's what people call me at uni. Not Starry Cats, but they call me Kaz. That's not so funny to say. They call me Kaz.
They call me Kaz.
They call me Kaz.
Well, Kaz, it's been absolutely phenomenal talking with you. This has been just fantastic. I've really enjoyed both telling stories with you and also like hearing your take on these things and storytelling and religion and everything in between. It's been a really gorgeous time. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your time. I really, really, really appreciate you having me here, and I had fun. Again, I had so much fun. Enjoyed it.
That's key. I'm really glad. That made me smile a lot. Fantastic.
Oh, far too nice. I can't think of a horrible pun to ruin the end of this.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of The Tiny Bookcase.
Remember to subscribe, otherwise you're going to miss out on the future fun.
Also, tell a friend. If you like this episode, link them to it.
We'd be tremendously grateful. You can follow us on Twitter at BookcaseTiny, Facebook at The Tiny Bookcase, and Instagram at BookcaseTiny for updates. Speaking of supporting the podcast, well, magic can only take one so far. The Tiny Bookcase is supported by the generosity of its patrons. Those kind souls have really kept my belly full the last year. Let's cast a spell for them, shall we? For rich ginger tones on their scalp, let us cast the Orangi Hedondo spell for Scott Byrne. And for general fabulousness, why not the Ooh La La, How's Your Mother spell on Matthew McLaren?
How do you come up with that shit, man?